I titled this video, excuse me, Alone for Easter. Part of that's my fault because of the whole having to rearrange my schedule to be here tomorrow for one of my daycare kids to get them on and off the bus, not realizing that they actually did not have school tomorrow. That there was a whole thing about that, but that's partly on me. I should have checked the calendar. But this is entitled Alone for Easter because I just wanted to talk about, one thing I do got to get is the anti-glare put on these glasses because that is starting to annoy me. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, being alone. I wasn't graced, I'll use that word, with a family of my own to raise. When I was younger, I've had my talks with God about it. Once you get to be of a certain age and you just know that it's never going to happen, then you kind of don't have a choice but to let that go. And because I've chosen to remain single, I don't know that Prince Charming is coming into my life. I don't know if it's because of my trauma issues from narcissistic abuse, childhood stuff, whatever the reason. 2 divorces, several failed relationships, several ex-fiancés. I tend to run. But sometimes it's with good reason. Excuse me. Gracious. I was going to get a cough drop and change my mind against it. Anyway. The fact remains that, maybe it's choices I've made in my life. Maybe I'm being punished for something. I don't know. But the fact remains that, no children means no grandchildren. I stay single. It means not even an extended family or stepchildren. Or step-grandchildren or whatever. It is my life. I'm not always by myself on the holidays. Usually I go to my sister's. But because of, scheduling issues and daycare issues and whatever, things got kind of messed up this year, so I didn't go. But it's not actually the first Easter I've stayed at home. And it most likely won't be the last. I will probably spend my birthday this year alone on my vacation. I'm not sure how to explain what I'm trying to say in this video. I realize, and I think I've come to accept, I know that there's a future coming for me that where I am an old lady and I'm alone for every holiday, or most. I have nieces who love me dearly and I love them, and I know that they're going to do their best to make me feel included, but it is what it is when you're single and you don't have children. Most of the time, most of the year, it's fine. It's great, actually. I enjoy doing what I want to do and going where I want to go when I'm not having to work, and planning a future for me, it's cheaper for sure. I don't envy the financial difficulties that I see my sisters go through sometimes. Um, but I do when there's like special occasions, even when I'm with my family. um, it can be a very stinging reminder that you're missing out on some part of life that for most people seems to be a normal rite of passage. Normal, when you're young, you kind of assume you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, grandkids, and all of that. But no one ever prepares you for the fact that you just might be that one in your family that doesn't, and that remains single, and all that goes with that. There's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of happiness to being single. Don't get me wrong. I like to think of myself, if you've ever watched the original Brady Bunch series, I like to think of myself as that crazy aunt that Jan was so fond of. One day I won't be doing my daycare, and I'll be able to get my home on the beach finally and have a more peaceful life and go places. I'm working towards that. You're probably hearing that my little fan in the background. I'm sorry. But there are definitely moments in time when I'm with my sister and her kids, and I'm, you feel it. I feel it. Feel what I've missed. Some say that's why I have a daycare. That's why I'm a child care provider. But I don't think that's true. I've been a child care provider. Honestly, I've taken care of children since I was maybe 12. My first babysitting job, I think I was like 12. The little girl I'll never forget her because she was my first babysitting job. She was 5, and I believe her name was Mandy. And I was still very young myself. I was just a kid myself. But I've just been taking care of children in one capacity or another, and then, became a nanny and a governess. And I like to tell people my claim to fame is that I was the governess for the Virginia State Treasurer, Eddie Moore Jr., back in the early 90s. I took care of his house, his children, and at the same time, I was a nanny for another family at the same time. So I lived in his home, and on the weekends, I would leave, but I had another nanny job. And so it's just always something that I've had other jobs as well, but it always came back to taking care of children, and this just seems to be where, I don't know what you want to call it, destiny, life, the universe, whatever, kept putting kids in my path, taking care of kids in my path. And so it's just been something that I've always been doing. And I don't foresee that ending until I am ready to retire from it. That ain't going to happen until I've got money saved up or I hit the lottery. But there are definitely moments when you're by yourself and on a special day. And I mean, periodically I'd be by myself, in the past, and I used to get like bitter, upset about it, but it's not all bad. I mean, I don't have to, like today, I'm not dealing with the traveling. I'm not dealing with, the stress of sometimes being around a family can be stressful, and it seems to always be me that has to do the traveling, and I guess that comes with being the only one to have to travel. So I kind of end up being the one that's stuck with driving most 99.9% of the time. And part of that is too that my home is not set up for adults. It's not. Just my room. It's set up for me. And my music room, which is also Sandy's room. But the rest of the house is dedicated to my daycare playroom. This front part of the house. So it's not really company friendly. So are you alone for holidays? Are you single? Are you by yourself? Are you an older person alone for the holidays? And how long have you been doing that? I would love to hear in the comments how you've been dealing with it. Like today, I'm actually making myself an Easter dinner. I have some ham in the oven. I made some potato salad this morning. Why should I miss out on some of the fun stuff? If I wanted to go to the park, I could. If I wanted to go do something, I could. So some of it is just choices that I'm making. And you can't allow the stuff that stings to dictate how you're going to feel on those holidays when you're by yourself. It can be difficult. And as much as I know that unless God changes the plans, I know I'm looking at a future where I'm old and I'm by myself and probably not many people come around, and that's going to be okay. It's going to be okay either way. God has given me, I go through my depression, I do. But God has also given me a unique ability, I think, to find joy somewhere within, like, the pit of my stomach. It only can come from Him. And even though I go through times where I'm down and I'm upset, it doesn't like decide my path. But I would be lying if I didn't say that, those stinging moments really sting. But, that's the single life. So I'd love to hear from more single people, especially if you're an older single person. How do you deal with, if you're someone like me with no children, no grandchildren, how do you deal with all of it? God bless. Happy Easter.